I want you to memorize this one verse that I want to share with you today. It's not in your outline. I'm going to start it, and I want to see how many of you can finish it. Okay? By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another, right? So I want us to memorize this verse together. I want you to know it by heart. If somebody asks you, this is the verse that you just know by heart. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And this is found in John 13:35. You can write it down in your in your outline. So, what we want to do here in this church is we want to work on that. Because Jesus says if we want to show the world about His love and sharing and preaching the gospel, they need to see that we love each other, right? So that's what we want to do. That's why we are putting together this little time and place after church where we will be able to get together and discuss and talk about the things that are going on in the church. So, for example, in that circle over there, in the back, after I'm done with the message, Milos is going to be in that circle, and that's going to be a place for anybody and everybody who wants to pray for those people in our congregation who are not feeling good. Geronimo has just had a surgery. They took out a lot of cancer out of him, the doctor said. Now they are waiting to see if he's going to need chemo. Ted has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Ernie, right there, lost his sister. Who else did you just lose? The niece and the sister. Sherry, she's not here. In March, she lost her brother. In June, she lost her sister. And now she lost her mother, So Milos is going to tell you more about all the people that need different prayers for different things. And that group is going to meet in that corner. I'm going to be in the middle. For any of you who are new to this church and don't know anything about it and would like to be a part of a church, if you want to find out more, if you want to get involved, I'm going to be in the middle to talk to all of you. And then in that left corner, we're going to have Ted today. He's on the property somewhere. And let me tell you what happened here last week. I came out to the church and was getting in my car, and I looked over, and there was a neighbor lady just right here on this side, and a portion of her fence fell over, 8-foot section. And she was just standing there, and I went over and talked to her and offered to help. And she just moved back to her house after 12 years of renting it to somebody else. So she's an older lady. The house needs work. The house needs help. So I asked Ted to go in. He went and he patched up the fence, but there is other things that she needs help with. So Ted's going to lead out in this group over here with anybody, men, women, who want to help out, not just this lady, her name is Linda, but also different people in the neighborhood. And we're going to say on our radio program, we're going to... Oh yeah, Milos wants me to tell you. Finally, after talking to this lady, I said, by the way, my name is Pastor Gordon. And she goes, oh, I listen to the radio program all the time. And she listed all the people that we have on the radio program. So I was surprised, right here, next door to us, and the lady's listening to our radio program. So we will talk on the program, TV and radio. We'll tell the people, if you're elderly, if you live within a mile or two of our church in Arvada, we're going to help you with whatever you need. If you need some young people to, move the snow or fix a fence or paint something, so that's going to be the group over there. Fernando, I'm sure you're going to be in that group there. So I'm already expecting you. And if Ted doesn't show up, then I need you to be there and kind of start the process going. So that's what's going on in the church here. We want to get involved. We want to love each other. We want to be there for each other first. You see, if we can do that, then we can do more for others as well. Today I want to talk to you about something that needs to change in each one of our lives if we want to have a decent life and if we want to have a successful year. So, first part of this outline here that you have in front of you is nothing but just a little bit of science and chemistry, and then we're going to go into the verse that really responds to this whole problem that we as human beings have. Cortisol is a stress hormone that's released by the adrenal glands. So now we are talking about chemistry. When you have a stressful event, something happens in your body, and your brain realizes that you have a stressful event, and then it tells your body to make cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone. So I was hiking one year, and I ran into a bear up there by Boulder, And my brain said to me, a lot of cortisol, run down the hill, So that's what I did, But that's what the brain does. If it was a smaller bear, maybe my brain would say, no, stay and fight. But no, I don't think so. I see a bear, I see a dog, I see a mean cat, and I run. I take off, I don't want to get scratched or hurt. But that's how we are made. God made us that way. When we deal with stress, our brain tells the body to release this hormone, and this hormone helps us deal with that stress at that particular moment. So, it is important for helping your body deal with what? Stressful situation. As your brain triggers its release in response to many different kinds of stress. But now look at this next point. When cortisol levels are too high for too long, what happens? This hormone can hurt you more than it helps. So your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline when you have a bad situation. I gave an example that maybe I mentioned, when you preach for a long time, then you repeat some stories. But I hope you'll forgive me. But I was driving from Denver to Laramie when I was pastoring there years and years ago. Middle of the winter, middle of the night. It was storming and it was just bad weather. And there was this truck in front of me. It was a delivery truck of some kind. It was a big truck, not a semi, but still a big truck. And I kept my distance away from him, and there was nobody on the road, just us on 287 from Fort Collins to Laramie, you see. And all of a sudden, he lost it, and he flipped over, and he went off of the road, and, and I stopped, and I got out of the car. It was very cold. It was blizzard conditions, and I put something on, and I walked over there to his truck. And this was, several hundred feet away from the road. And when I got there, the truck was turned, wheels were still spinning, and this guy somehow fell out of the truck, and he laid under one of those wheels. He wasn't pinned down, but he was just, unconscious. And I reached down there. Some of you guys maybe who experienced this in the military or somewhere, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or maybe anybody had this experience. And I reached down and I grabbed him and I pulled him away from the truck as far as I could. And he felt as light as a feather. And he was a normal sized guy. He had to have been 170, 180 pounds. I felt like I was picking up a piece of paper. You see, I didn't feel any weight. I did not feel any, so what has happened, I was stressful because first thing that I thought when I saw him flip, I thought this guy's dead. And my adrenaline and my cortisol just created this, they gave me this strength, and when I pulled him out, I just dragged him like it was nothing, like he was 2 pounds. I didn't feel that I exerted any force. That's what adrenaline and cortisol does to your body when you find yourself in a stressful situation. But when the levels of these hormones are too high for too long, then this hormone can start hurting your body. You see, over time, high levels may cause weight gain and high blood pressure, disrupt sleep, negatively impact mood, reduce your energy levels, and contribute to diabetes. So how does it work? How do you get high levels of cortisol and adrenaline in your body on a permanent basis? It all starts in the head, right? You see a guy flip on the highway, your cortisol goes up. You are hiking in the woods and you see a bear or a mountain lion, your cortisol spikes up. Your brain is telling you trouble, 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 no good, and for a minute, for 2 minutes, for 10 minutes, it goes up and then it goes down. What happens if you're living in an abusive relationship, day in and day out? What happens if you are on a job site, in a job where you are constantly stressed, and your brain is constantly thinking, this is bad, this is horrible, I don't want to be here, I hate this boss, when are they going to fire me, I need a different job? What happens when your brain is constantly telling yourself, I don't have enough money to pay my bills? What am I going to do? My car is breaking down. I don't have any friends. Where am I going with this? You see, so your brain is creating these negative thoughts, right? And these negative thoughts, what they're doing? They are jacking up your cortisol. They're jacking up your hormones. And those hormones then start affecting your body in a negative way. Negative thinking creates chemicals in your body that are going to kill you in the end. So, these things, they can cause all kinds of situations for us in the United States of America. You can become, it says here, high blood pressure, weight gain. You see, all of these things, they start happening to you. So studies have shown that chronic complications as a result of these continual high levels of cortisol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, weight gain. Look at this one. Cortisol increases appetite. Have you ever been stressful and wanted to eat? I had a day like that last week. Geronimo went to the hospital, so I went over there for the surgery. Then I talked to Ted. He's been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Then Debbie called me and says, hey, Sherry's sister is in the hospital and she's not doing good. So about noon, I say, I better call Sherry, see how she's doing. So I call her up, and she says, Pastor Gordon, my sister just passed away 15 minutes ago. My stress levels were high that day. I just wanted to go to Taco Bell and stay there. I'm serious. Get me a burrito, get me a Coke, get me a chicken something, taco, and I just felt hungry all day long. Why? Because my chemistry just got all out of whack because of all the stress and all the negative thinking. I'm worried about Geronimo. Is he going to have a bag put in because he's having colon cancer removed? You see, I'm worried about all of these people. I'm worried about my own stuff, and it just adds up, and you start feeling hungry, and all you think is, I need ice cream, I need Dairy Queen, I need something, And what happens? Your weight, you start increasing, you start gaining weight, you see. So cortisol increases appetite, and then what does it do? It signals the body to shift metabolism to store fat. So now you're storing even more fat. So what do we have in the modern society that we are living in? What do we have? We like to say, people are lazy, they don't want to. They are gluttonous. They keep eating, They can't control their appetite. No, that's not the problem that we have. I think the problem that we have is that everybody's overstressed. And you start developing these hormones in your body, you see, and you just can't help it. You just can't help it. Your body's storing fat. You want to eat more. You are stressed. You start developing diabetes. You start developing heart problems. Why? Because those chemicals, they act in your body as poison. They're tearing you apart. They shouldn't be there. It's too much. You see, so this is the result of having negative, negative thoughts and negative attitude constantly. You see, tiredness is another one. It interferes with daily cycles of other hormones, disrupting sleep patterns and causing fatigue. How many of you have ever experienced where you had a period of fatigue? I can't do nothing. I don't want to do nothing. Leave me alone. Just give me a remote. Bring me some fries. Right? I mean, you just feel that way and it's not because you're stupid or crazy or not a good person. It's because your negative thinking, your brain is causing these chemicals to rise up to the levels that are not healthy in your body, and it's creating craziness. It's creating unhealthy environment in your body. Impaired brain function. Cortisol interferes with memory, contributing to mental cloudiness or brain fog. And how many times have we done that, right? I just can't think straight anymore. I'm just so tired I can't think straight. So what do people do? I need to notch it down a little bit. So I'm going to go to a dispensary and get the joint, Smoke some pot, relax. I need to start thinking clearly. I'm going to go to see my doctor, see if he can give me some pills. And you have the whole country now taking all kinds of medications, legal and illegal, because our brains are not clearly thinking. All because this negative attitude, negative thinking, and that's causing our chemistry to change, and it does all of these things. These are scientifically proven things. You can go do your own research online. Just put in cortisol, stress, any one of those words, and you're going to get all kinds of research on this and how this is all related to negativity, negative thinking, and this kind of stuff that we have in our lives. So, infections, it hampers the immune system, making you more prone to infections. Remedies. Everybody knows what the remedies are. The problem is practicing it and living it, right? Get the right amount of sleep. Well, how are you going to get the right amount of sleep if you had a gallon of Pepsi, today because you tried to clear up your mind? How are you going to get good sleep if you're watching TV until 1 o'clock in the morning? You're not. In other words, we are talking about changing the whole life and the whole attitude. Exercise. Not too much, but enough to bring you down a little bit, and enough to relax you. Recognize stressful thinking. I think this is one of the key ones. If I were to ask you right now, this moment, in this sanctuary, we are in the church, it's Saturday, we don't have any much things that we got to deal with. How's your thinking right now? Is your thinking stressful or is it relaxed? On a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful is your thinking right now? Your thinking process in your head. Anybody? In the first service, everybody was calm. Coffee didn't kick in yet. And everybody was like, I'm at 2. And I'm like, okay. No stressful thinking whatsoever. And then I said, how's your thinking going to be on Monday morning when you have to go to work? And then some people, woke up and they said, oh, yeah, that's going to be number 5. And then I said, how about when your kids come over, and they need you to do this for them and need that? And everybody said, 150, So we have things that trigger us, that trigger our stress levels, that change our thinking, and our thinking becomes negative and we become angry, and we have to be able to recognize when we are in that mode of thinking. I need to be able to say, okay, I'm thinking in too of a stressful manner. My thinking is not right. I'm angry, I'm negative, I'm upset, I'm in a hurry, I'm rushing things, I am unhappy because I can't get things done, I can't finish things, and all of those thinking, all of those factors, they come in and all of a sudden you're all want to explode. When that happens, when your thinking gets to that point, what do we need to do? We need to back off, Once we recognize that we are in this negative mode of thinking, we need to back off. Sometimes you need to find a place where you can relax. One of the next point is learn to relax, learn to have fun, stay in healthy relationships, be your best self. So there are many things, a variety of things that contribute to us being negative. And then our chemistry changes. Maybe it says stay in healthy relationships. What does that mean? That means that sometimes you got to limit the amount of time that you are spending in the unhealthy relationships. Maybe you have somebody who is always pushing your buttons. You see, and they're raising your stress levels, right? Maybe you can't get rid of them because they are part of your family. They could be a kid. They could be a mother, a father. They could be a cousin. And you can't get rid of them because they are part of you. Fine. I'm not saying get rid of all the people in your life that are negative, but you can limit the amount of time that you spend with them, you see. You can also decide how you are going to react about these people, you see. I'm thinking about the homeless people that we are trying to help. Sometimes we have a person out there and we come in and we help them and we find them a job and we find them a place to live, and that lasts for about a month and a half, and then we go out there to feed people again, and on the next Saturday, 2 months later, and we run into that person and they are totally drunk. Oh, Pastor Gordon, good to see you. Give me a hug, And I'm giving them a hug, and they're drunk as a skunk. I mean, they had everything. So what do? You can allow that to get to you. I'm talking about relationships now. I'm just using this as an example. You can allow that to get to you, and it's going to destroy you. I talk to mothers who have 30-year-old sons who are still living in the house. And the mothers are being destroyed mentally and psychologically because that man is not getting a job, you see. And I'm talking to people who have other people in their lives, and they're getting so frustrated with these people that they are destroying their own health because all that negative thinking is just destroying your chemistry. So what do you got to do? You got to distance yourself. You got to say, you know what, I love you. I'll do what I can, but this is what I can do and this is what I cannot do. You come over to the house, I'll give you a meal. I'm not going to house you and give you a free room and board and you're 30 years old. I'm not going to do that for you. But if you come over on weekends, I'll feed you. I love you. You're still mine. But I'm not going to subsidize your crazy way of living. I'm not going to give you a free room and board and then you can have money for pot. Forget that. So we have to start having these boundaries. We have to have an approach to people that says, I love you, but I'm not going to kill myself over you because you keep choosing to do bad things. This is all about figuring out how to bring our minds down and relax so that our body and that our chemistry stays at healthy levels. That's what it's about. Learning to have fun. When was the last time you had any fun? I'm not talking about going to Vegas and blowing a bunch of money because you're all stressed. That's not fun. I'm talking about fun, real fun, where you really enjoyed something, you see? Be at your best self, doing something that you really enjoy. Maybe you're a woodworker and you make a box of something that you really like. Maybe you have a hobby, you see? Maybe you do something great at your job, something that calms you down. So now we know the chemistry, we know the science, we know how we work. That's how God made us. See, that's how God made us, what I just described. And you can study this more on your own. But now look at this. Go to the Bible, and it's right there on the screen, Philippians 4:8. And I just want you to look at this verse in the context of what we just learned. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about those things. He is literally telling us what to think about. God made us this way. I personally believe that the Holy Spirit went to Paul and told him, inspired him to write these words. You see? And he's giving us a map, a roadmap about what we should be thinking about. He says, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. In other words, do not think about all the other stuff that's going to cause you to be sick. And today we have unlimited number of sources that are giving us the information that is going to make us sick and tired and angry. And it's going to change our thinking, and we're going to become crazy worried or crazy afraid or crazy upset about something because we are devoting our time to either news on TV all the time. You have people who are sitting in front of Fox or CNN all day long because they want to be reinforced in whatever it is that they believe. You see? You got people who are spending hours in front of the football season, and they are just besides themselves that the Denver Broncos didn't do anything. I'm sorry if you're one of those people. There he is the next year. Right, but we can become so obsessed with any one of these things. And so what happens if you're watching the Broncos, for example, I'm going to use that, and they're losing. And you have become so obsessed with it, and you are just cussing, and you're screaming, and Elway is no good anymore. Yesterday he was the best person in the world. Now he's just horrible manager, coaches. And you're just making yourself crazy. You're watching the news, and you're making yourself crazy. Iran, airplanes, bombs, Trump, Obama. There are still people who are discussing Obama. You see what he did some years ago, and they can't get over it. And then there are people, on Trump and all of this stuff. And it's just becoming to a point where everybody's sick. What he's saying here is, get away from that stuff. You can be aware, but you don't have to be obsessed. You follow me? Jesus always said, my kingdom is not of this world. It don't mean that he didn't know nothing about Roman Empire or that he didn't know nothing about Jewish state. He was aware of all of those things. You can be aware of all the politics. You can be aware of all the sports. You can be aware of all of the injustices that are taking place in this world. You can be aware of the environmental issues or women's issues or whatever you want to think about, racism. You can be aware of about all of those things. Or you can be obsessed with it. And once you become obsessed with it, that's when those stress levels go up, and you are constantly having this cortisol and these other hormones, negative hormones, present in your body, making you physically and mentally sick. It's just as simple as that. So that's why he says, finally, brothers, whatever is true. True. Whatever is honorable. When I looked up that word honorable, it says characterized by principles of honor. Honor is when you honor your word. Honor is when you're honest about who you are. Honor is when you don't lie. Honor is when you don't degrade others, when you respect others. You see? Honor is when you become a noble person, like Jesus was. He says, think about those things. So what he's telling us here is, think about how you can be true and honorable. How can I be honorable in every situation that I'm dealing with? How can I be honorable with the people I work for? How can I be honorable with people who work for me? How can I be honorable with my family? How can I be honorable in all of my dealings with everybody? You see? He says, think about that. Think about whatever is just. Just, word just means guided by truth, reason, justice, and fairness. You see, we're talking now about a way of life. Just. Be just. You see? Be honest. Be true. If you go to the store and they give you $10 by mistake and they back in change and they didn't notice it, give it back. That's an honorable and just thing to do. Don't walk away with it and say, oh, who cares? Their loss. You see? Pure, Free from anything. I love this one, number 3. Free from anything of a different, inferior, or contaminating kind. He says, think about it. Think about the things that have contaminated your life and find ways to be free from those things. You know, nowadays we spend a lot of time trying to purify our bodies, right? People are trying to drink clean, purified water, and they're trying to exercise, and they go to saunas, and they go to all kinds of places where we can cleanse our body, right, from the poisons and impurities that we get through air, water, food, chemicals, right? We try to purify ourselves. He says, think about whatever is pure. Purify your soul. Purify your spirit. Purify your character. Get things out of there that don't belong in there. We know what they are, right? You know. You know what God approves of, right? Greed. That's an impurity. You see, hate. That's an impurity. Selfishness. Resentment. Dishonesty. You see, racism. These are impurities. And he says, think about what is pure. Get rid of everything else that's contaminating you. We are a part of this world. We get contaminated. You know we do. Let's be honest about it. We read something and we say, oh yeah, it's that way. I'm not going to like these people now anymore because I read this. We can't be like that. We have to be different. We have to think about pure things. We have to think about how do I treat people in a pure way. You see, I don't want anything inferior in my system. Think about things that are lovely, he says. When you put in that word into the dictionary, what comes out is charmingly or exquisitely beautiful. When was the last time you took time to go look at something beautiful? You know, we live in Colorado. This is some of the best postcard country in the world. And we don't even know it. Most of us, we stay home. We are busy. We work. When was the last time you went to a beautiful art exhibition or a museum? I don't know when I did, to be honest. But when I did a few times, I've seen some beautiful works of art that uplifted my soul. When was the last time you took a ride out on the eastern plains of Colorado? Yesterday? For work, right? Okay. Every day for work. Isn't it beautiful out there? And when you go there in the spring or summer, you know, and the grass is growing and the birds are singing, and if you're in a car or on a motorcycle and you pull over and stop and there is no traffic and there is no city noise, and you just come out and you hear all of these birds, right? And then you hear gunshots. Some guys are practicing there. No, I'm just kidding. I've been to beautiful places like that, and then I look at the ground and there's all kinds of shells there, you know. So I know who has been there. But the point is, think about things that are lovely. Think about things that are beautiful. Think about things that are commendable. Whatever is commendable, worthy of praise. Is my life worthy of praise? Is how I treat other people worthy of praise? Is the way our church approaches people worthy of praise? You see? Think about those things. And then he said, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Excellent, possessing outstanding quality or superior merit. Possessing outstanding qualities. What are your outstanding qualities in your life? You see, praiseworthy. Do you do things that are praiseworthy? Or do you do things that nobody's going to notice, or at worst, that people are going to remember and say, man, I hate that guy. So how do we live our life? See, this is all connected. And Paul is saying to us, look, guys, change the way you think. You change the way you think, you're going to have a good year. You change the way you think, and your chemistry is going to change. Focus on God. Focus on Jesus. Focus on the things that are positive. When you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, step back and say, Lord, I don't want to think this. Help me to see the other side. The other side, that's positive and that's good. And I think when we do that, God is going to bless us. Okay, now we're going to take a little time and maybe just a couple of minutes talk about, I want to hear if anybody has something on their mind that would be enlightening to all of the rest of us in the context of what we just talked about. Maybe a personal experience? Over there, let's get a mic. It's on. Yellow mic, Alan. No, well, orange, I'm sorry. I'm colorblind today. There you go.
I was listening to you when you were saying about negativity. And personally, what I do when I'm around someone who's doing something negative or have a negative feeling, I just simply say the word. Just say positive. If it's negative, I make it positive. And that's how I try to say positive. That's all I was going to say.
So you are aware of these situations?
Yes.
And you stay aware of it?
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes we're just not aware of it, and we find ourselves in this turmoil of negativity, and we are not even aware of it. We have one all the way in the back. Okay. Yeah. Right. Kids are definitely precious. That's a good point, isn't it? We should all spend a little bit of time with kids. All right. We got one more up here. Ashton. His cousin is Ashton Kutcher. I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. His first time here in this church. Amen. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? If not, then we got one more. Yes, John. Sorry, John, I didn't see you. You're such a tiny little guy. Mm-hmm. Sure, Puerto Rico got hit. We have a church member, Gil, over there. He texted me this morning, no electricity, no internet.
And it's like, you know, you grow up with this stuff and you learn this stuff about prophecy. Pretty soon we're not going to be able to buy or sell. We're going to be living under a brick in the box. You know? I mean, it's hard to be positive with this kind of brainwashing, I guess, might be, but this kind of mentality that we grew up with. Does that make any sense?
I think I should let Richard answer that question. No? He's like, no, I don't want to touch this one. But I think we need to realize that, it's in God's hands. Whoever is in power, the events of the world, wars, earthquakes, environmental issues, poverty. I mean, we'll do our part, but it's still in God's hands. I don't know if that makes sense. Mark.
Yeah, here's the answer.
There you go. I mean,
Jesus said we will see these things, but what does he say in conclusion? That he says, when you see these things happen, he says, lift up your heads, for our redemption draws nigh. So when we see these things, these are the birth pains of these things. We know, and yeah, it's easy for us to be brainwashed into. I'm a fourth and a half. Might as well call it fifth generation Adventist. So yeah, I grew up. I don't know who it was that was talking, but
John.
So I don't. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And yet we have this hope because
Amen.
because we know the end of the story. My Uncle Charles, when he was still alive, he used to tell this story, and then I'll be done. He used to tell this story. He said when there was a dad who was listening. His son, he had put his son to bed, and he kept hearing his son say, "If you only knew what I knew. If you only knew what I knew." And so finally, after hearing his son say this for about the 10th time, he went into his son's bedroom. He was like, "Son, what is it that you're saying? What's going on?" He said, "Well, Dad, I was reading this book, and I love these westerns, and this cowboy, he went in and he got home, and his house was all burned down, and they kidnapped his wife, and his dog was gone, and he said, and it was a horrible book, Dad." And he said, and I almost put it away. He said, but I decided I went to the end of the book, and I read the last chapter. And he said he found his wife, and he got his dog back, and they got the bad guys and everything. He said, so then I went back, I started to read the book again from the beginning. And he said, and when they took his wife, he said, I just started chuckling. If you only knew what I knew. And when his dog went missing, he started laughing. If you only knew what I knew. And we the scriptures tell us, and we see this earth is reacting to the fact that this world is coming to an end. But what we have to remember, what we can never forget, is we've read the end of the book. And so when the earthquakes come and tragedy hits, and trust me, it's not easy. There are some of us deal with depression, and it's hard. But remember, if you only knew what I knew.
Amen. John, one more.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify. I don't really think that I've ever been brainwashed.
Well, it's too late now, man.
But you know what? I mean, I feel like Matthew does that. We are. I mean, things are happening very rapidly in this world, and so you have this great presentation today of being very positive. But we are living in a world where things are happening.
Yeah.
You see the signs of the times happening. But I just thought it was interesting that on your verse, Paul says, "Don't think about those things. Think about the positive."
Yeah.
Amen.